Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing. Massive show this week. It's been a really busy week for us as a channel. We've been down to press week for the Leigh Wood fight. We'll talk about that shortly. Joined, as always, by co-host Carl. Good evening, mate.
Good evening. Good evening.
Regular Sean. How are you, pal?
Evening, guys.
And a special guest this week, Daz Metcalf. Evening, Daz. How are you, pal?
Hi, mate. You all right?
Yeah, really, really good. So, for those of you viewers that don't know Daz is, you'll know from the channel that we do support Nicola Outwell quite a lot, and Daz is Nick's trainer. So, Daz, it would be rude of us to have you on the show and not let you have a little bit of time talking about what's happening with Nick. Your progression with the really. But let's start with last Friday. Nick had a third fight against a very tough Ivanova.
I
can never pronounce that last name.
I don't think anyone's got a name right yet.
This was on another GBM show. Fantastic platform, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, mate. Izzy and his guys are producing a bit of something special. Biggest compliment I can give him is I don't think they'll be small for too much longer.
They've got something going on there. It's a bit different to your normal small old shows, and that's not being disrespectful to them because
no.
Carlo will back me on this. I prefer small old shows to big shows.
Yeah.
I love the feel. I love the welcomingness of the promotions. The fighters love having you about. They're happy, much more happy to be interviewed than on the bigger shows as a general rule. But back to last Friday. So I came down the gym, didn't I? And I did some pad work, recorded some pad work that's on the show.
Yeah.
And I saw what you've been doing with Nick since you had her. I mean, what is it? Nearly a year?
To be honest, mate, I've only been a main trainer for a month, just over a month.
Right, but she was in the team, wasn't she?
Sorry, mate.
Since what was it? Maybe February last year, March last year.
I have been involved with her training since she came to British Boxing Board of Control, but obviously she was trained by me, Michael White, and Gil White. It was mainly me and Gil White for a pro debut. And if I'm honest, for a second fight, Gil did the majority of the work.
Yeah.
But I've only been. I mean, Gil's obviously just had a baby, Gil, so he's had to take a step away. So it's me. I'm the main trainer. So
Gil stepped back, and at the same time, the Dinnington gym closes.
Yeah, Mike was there. Mike White was there. A long time, and he's a bricklayer by trade, Mike. So he had didn't really see much of his family either. So he made a choice to, sort of give up the lease on the gym, and step away from boxing, spend time with his family, which I totally understand.
You do live it, Daz, don't you, when you're involved like you are with the fighters? It does take a lot of your let's call it spare time.
Yeah, mate. It is. It's very. I mean, at the end of the day, I look at it like this. I've seen Nick more than I've seen my own wife over the past month. She sat across from me and she's waving and smiling, but I just want to give her a little bit of a shout. And without her, I couldn't do it. Without her support, I couldn't do it. But Nick, and going back to that, when you train in a fight, I mean, listen, I look at Nick as though she's a little sister, and obviously she's getting in the ring, she's putting her health on the line. I need to know I've done everything to give her the tools to come out, not just winning, but safe.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a stress, but I love it. I thrive on that. It's in my blood. Boxing's in my blood. It is, sometimes I think I just have to accept that, and accept that I love it. It's the only thing I'm good at, to be fair.
A lot of what you've been working on, Daz, paid off on Friday night. I think Carl will agree with me. We both said this about the same time after Nick's performance. We both said that's the best we've seen her in all of the time.
I need to work on my geography though, Daz, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, where did you say on there?
So it's all South Yorkshire.
Oh yeah, that was down well, mate. Nice one.
You're close.
So Daz, talk me through what you would like to happen for Nick going forward now. That was a 6-rounder, and I think you mentioned that you now perhaps want to push her up to 8s.
Yeah, I wanted to have 8-rounders now, because had that fight been an 8-rounder, then the last from the going into the 6, I would have said to her, listen, now step on the gas, go through the gears. And she'd have more than likely, no disrespect to Ivanka, she's a very tough lady, but you saw it 3rd round when Nick caught her. I don't think she was hurt. She was, she was stunned a little bit, but that's why when Nick went after her, I don't know if you heard me shouting, don't go after her, don't rush in, calm down. I just wanted her to showcase what she's been learning. I wanted to showcase her skills, which she's got an abundance of.
I'd agree with what you just said though, because we both look. It's funny if you'd have not seen the fight, but you'd have just seen the 2 girls at the end. Ivanka was shattered. Nick hardly looked like she was blowing. Looked like she could do another 6 rounds without breaking sweat.
Probably could.
And because of that, because she's got such a good engine, and conditions really, really good, it means a technique stays, don't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a massive thing when she's. I've said it before. Nick's a championship round fighter. Nick's one of those who probably. She could start. I mean, she has done his part. She could start a little bit slow, first 1 or 2 rounds, but she's one of the only people I've seen that keep that that freshness going into 9th and 10th. It's unreal, really. I mean, I just look and think, do you ever get tired? I mean, sometimes I can be a bit brutal with runs on. Sprint sessions. I mean, I'm actually trying to tire her out. I'm actually trying to get her to quit. And no, there's no quitting that girl whatsoever.
I've seen that, mate. I've seen that for my own 2 eyes. Moving on, Daz. I know I just mentioned there that the Dinnington gym closed, and you've been having to very, very kindly of the gyms. I'll let you give them a shout out in a second, but you've been having to train out of a couple of different gyms. For this last camp for Nick. Tell us a bit about that, the gyms that you've been working at, and what you would like to happen going forward.
Yeah, we've been using Wilby Carr Amateur Boxing Club in Doncaster. It's run by Colin Boyle. It's an amazing gym, full of amazing talent. So we use that. We've also been over to Riley's for sparring, and Rob and Gary have offered us use of their gym anytime. Also, just a quick mention that they've actually, I believe, been served an eviction notice, Riley's.
Yeah, Rob did mention that.
Which I think, I mean, end of the day, if you own a building and you're a businessman and you've got another use for it and it makes you more money, I can't criticise a businessman for that.
Yeah.
What I will say is that the council need to find them somewhere, because you've been in Riley's yourself. Look at the diverseness of everyone in there.
Yeah.
You're taking kids and adults off at streets who, listen, they may be getting in trouble, they may be not. But, while they're in there, we definitely know they're not getting in trouble.
That's right.
So, I think Sheffield Council need to do something to help them guys. And Worksop Council need to do something to help me as well.
Yes, no, absolutely, and that's what I kind of wanted to get to, mate. You want your own gym, don't you?
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to be using these other gyms, but ideally, and from a selfish point of view of Nick, you want a base really where you can do the majority of the work. I know you've said you'll always go back to those gyms because
definitely.
That's where Nick's had the majority of the sparring, hasn't it, for this camp?
And Phoenix as well in Nottingham. I've got can't forget Dale McPhilbin and Paul Smith, who trains
quality setup.
Ellie Bootle. She's in hospital at minute, I believe having some surgery, Ellie. So I just want to say get well soon, Ellie. Then you've got the other two girls, Geneva, and I don't know the other one, but I can't remember her name. But yeah, those three were pivotal in Nick's preparation as well. But going back to the gym situation, I've been discussing it tonight with my missus. It's not even about me and Nick and us having a base. It's mainly about I want to get somewhere where I could probably get 2 to 3 England boxing registered coaches in to coach the beginners, the amateurs, and then me and Nick could just use it when the amateur classes have done.
Right.
Yeah, when we finish work.
Something for the community then.
Yeah, I see my hometown, mate, going to ruin, and I see kids getting in trouble for silly things. And most of the time, these kids I went to school with their dads, or I know the dads, I know the mums. I'm not going to name any names, but I've had probably 20 messages off parents wanting me to train the kids.
Right.
And I'll be straight up with any, with you guys, with any counsel. I'm not going to train amateurs.
Yeah.
I'll have a bit of an hand in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to totally ignore it. But I'll take on the next progression. If amateurs want to turn pro, then they can stay in the same gym. Stuff like that. But I do want somewhere for the kids and the adults as well. The surrounding, workshop areas, not just limited it to workshop, but if there's kids, in, I don't know, Rhodesia, anywhere like that on outskirts, let them travel, and they can travel, let them come and give them another option.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit of a bonus that there'd be a base for Nicola in workshop as well.
It's interesting, Daz, because I read a report recently where if you put a boxing gym in a local community, I'm sure it cuts crime rates by about, I want to say 25%, but don't quote me on that. It's a significant percentage.
Right, yeah, I think you're
right.
So
the savings to the local authority in terms of police and et cetera, must be there to prove its worth.
Yeah, don't quote me on it, but I think one of my friends, Regan Denton, he opened a gym on I think it's on Manor in Sheffield called the Hood. And I think crime rate dropped by 30% on Manor.
That is it.
So, and to be fair, I'm not. It's not a bad town this either. It's it's full of good people. And it's full of people who, to be honest, mate, I don't know if a gym were open in town for 30 years and it changed one person's life, it's worth it, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah. But
absolutely.
Boxing gyms change more than one person. I spent a bit of time at Brendan Ingalls, and that man didn't just make champions in ring; he made champions in life.
There's loads of examples, Dad, isn't there? You can use the Rotunda in Liverpool, can't you?
Yeah.
The Peacock gym down in London. Every gym's got a score, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
It's not even just the famous gyms either, though, Carl.
No.
It's all the gyms that nobody knows about.
But they're only famous, Andy, because of the work they've done.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And the champions that they've made. But it's maybe not even people maybe not even becoming professional. But kids getting off the street, just doing a bit of extra physical activity, say.
Yeah, definitely.
Just learning a bit of respect and a bit of discipline.
Yeah,
it changes everything, don't it?
It does. Listen, I'm one of those. I'm one of them. Me. We've got we've got quite a good setup with football
Yeah, workshop time.
Yeah, there's workshop time, but there's a guy, Andrew Guest. He's doing like he's like set up multiple teams. I don't know a lot about it, so but he set up multiple teams under SJR banner all the way through the age ranges. Listen, I know footballers who go to boxing gyms for fitness. When you walk in a boxing gym, it's not all about you having to get punched. It's, it can be used for fitness. And I tell you what, it is fantastic for as well, mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's absolutely, I tell you, when you walk into a boxing gym and you feel part of something, it's, sometimes it can give that one person that bit of meaning. And that's what matters. So it's like I've said, I mean, it's not all about, having somewhere for me to train, Nick. It's not all about having somewhere for me to train any other professional. Because, while I wouldn't be involved majorly with the amateurs, I'd be floating about. Nick would be floating about. We'd always be there to offer a bit of advice, a bit of encouragement. Yeah. So, it's mainly for community. And that's it, really. Yeah.
So if local councils are listening, get your fingers out your butts and do something for the community.
Yeah, and I guarantee crime rate will drop.
Absolutely, mate.
Guarantee
I echo that. I'm sure everybody listening in the sidebar will echo the same thing as well. Thanks for bringing that message to us, Daz. And obviously, me and Carl will be following you. We've got you back anyway. We'll be following you going forward.
Yeah, appreciate that, mate.
And we'll keep pushing on this channel till you get something for yourself as well. So, yeah. Carl, sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. I was going to say thank you.
Go on, carry on. So, Carl, me and you have been down to do a bit of work today and yesterday. Build up to the Leigh Wood fight. We were at the open workout yesterday in Nottingham, and the press conference today, which was really interesting. So let's move on now and talk about what's happening Saturday night. Normally we do this in reverse order, don't we? But I think as it's such an important fight for the Nottingham area, and seeing as though we're a Nottingham channel, I reckon we go straight in at the top, and we go straight in at Leigh Wood, Mauricio, Lara. Carl, first impressions of what you saw from both in the media workout. I know you don't always get a lot given away. What was your first impressions of the two?
Well, I took quite a lot from the interviews that we did. Obviously, I interviewed Lara. He looked very good in the ring. Look, we know what's coming, don't we? We know he's a world-class operator. I know me and you've talked about fancying Wood, and people throw at us that we're biased. We don't underestimate Mauricio Lara. The guy's a killer. He's a killer. So, Leigh, let's not beat around the bush. Leigh's got it all on in this fight. There's a reason why the bookies are putting Lara as favourite and Leigh's underdog. But I just think people underestimate Leigh Wood's boxing ability. And Ben Davison was talking about today, developing opportunities to get the shots off. So I'm still going to stick with Leigh Wood, but I think Eddie Hearn was right in his little summing up today where make sure you got a spare pair of pants when you're watching the fight, because it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be a war. So I think I answered your question. I think I'm a bit all talked out, to be honest.
Well, Sean, you've been very, very, very patient, very quiet while we've been chatting to Daz. Let's hear what you think on the two. Have you seen any of the media workout from yesterday to start with?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Okay. What did you take anything different from that, from what you already thought about your outcome for the fight?
Only just how competitive the fight's going to be, really. I mean, I haven't seen someone as up for it as Lara from a foreign fighter for quite a while, I would say. He just seems that he doesn't want to be beaten, but then again, you know Leigh Wood in his hometown, he doesn't either. So it's really hard to call for me, and I just can't wait for it, to be honest.
Is that you sitting on the fence, mate? Are you not going to give us a prediction?
Splinters.
No, well, I'm going to say Leigh would, but not much confidence in it, I have to say.
Fair comment. Leigh, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Evening. How you doing? You all right, guys?
Very good.
Right.
Leigh, quick introduction. This is Daz Metcalf. He's Nicola Oatwell's trainer.
Hey,
We thought we'd get we thought we'd
right.
get a professional opinion on the show rather than us bums just talking about it.
Makes
So
a change.
we'll come to Daz in a minute, but let me get your opinion firstly.
I think Lara's going to knock him out. I hope Wood does it, but I think Lara's going to stop him. If I'm being honest with you. That's just my honest opinion. But
Okay.
he's been the underdog a number of times and proved people are wrong, hasn't he? So here's hoping he proves me wrong Saturday night.
How do you think it plays out? How do you think the fight plays out?
I think it'll be a war from the off, to be honest with you. I think it's not gonna last 12 rounds. It won't last 12 rounds. Whoever wins, I think it's gonna be a stoppage. So yeah, it's gonna be a war. We all know that anyway.
I mean, Leigh's turned around and said he's going to go and meet Lara head on, centre of the ring, from the very first bell. Daz, I know you've got a slightly different opinion of whether Leigh will do that or what he should do to win the fight.
No chance.
Give us your breakdown, mate.
Not for me. For me, just on that, Ben Davison's far too good a trainer to allow that. Plus, Leigh Wood's far too clever a fighter to do that. Why would you go and stand with somebody who's technically inferior, but is an absolute murderous puncher?
Yeah.
Why would you stand in front of him? It's common sense. You don't have to be Emmanuel Stewart or anyone to say, well, let's not stand in front of him.
Is it a double bluff then, Daz?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I'd be shocked if it weren't. I'd be absolutely amazed. In fact, I'd go as far as to say, if Ben Davison has Leigh Wood stand in front of Lara first half at fight and have a fight with him, I'd tell Leigh Wood, come and train with me. Do you know what I mean? But it's not going to happen. Ben Davison's far too good a trainer to allow that. And like I said, Leigh's far too clever a boxer. He'd just be putting his... To me, if he does that, it's not even a 50-50 fight. It puts Lara in massive favour. If you're going to stand in front of Lara and trade shots with him, I mean, crazy. I think personally, from watching Lara against Warrington, the first fight, I mean, he just throws wild punches. You know, he likes his hooks and, you know, occasionally throws a straight a jab, but throws a lot of hooks. But I tell you one thing that I did forget about the fight, he's actually quite quick, Lara. He's actually got better hand speed than I get him credit for.
Right.
Because I don't know why I had this perception that he was slow, but I don't think he is. I think he's got a decent bit of hand speed, but I think basically the fight's going to be Leigh's going to come out, he's going to work everything off his jab, and I think he's going to offset him all the time, make him reset all the time. I think maybe going to his body, but I think what Leigh's got to do is work and then not be there.
Yeah,
because that's when the replies come. I think he's got to work, make him reset, but he's going to be fit enough to do it. You know, he's just got to show him angles, make him reset all the time, never let him get set to throw them power shots. And I think he can do that. And I also think that he's well capable. You know, he's got that much power, Leigh, that he can actually hit Lara and sort of discourage him a bit from being reckless. You know, a good friend of mine who was a super middleweight used to spar with Leigh, and he said he hits like a middleweight.
Right.
He said he's deceptive. He hits like a middleweight. So I think Leigh's got the punch to maybe discourage Lara from being reckless and just walking him down. So my prediction, I think we're going to see a technically brilliant Leigh Wood, and I think he's going to beat Lara on points.
What makes Lara dangerous also makes him vulnerable though, right?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah,
because he throws these big shots with not a lot of care about what's coming back.
Yeah. When I watched the Warrington fight earlier today, Josh worked, and then he was still in the same spot.
Yeah.
So Lara went. Now, if Leigh works and then steps off him, then Lara's got to reset. So then just go again with jab. Just keep him busy. You've got to be disciplined, though. You've got to be absolutely on the ball for 12 rounds. I mean, there might be a case for if Leigh can do that and he can break him down, he could, maybe stop him late. But I'd like to think that going into 11 and 12, if Leigh's in front and won every round, Ben would say, "Listen, let's keep it safe. Let's not go all defensive and run right ring. Let's just do what we've done for the previous 10 rounds." So I don't think.
So, sorry, mate. Cole, do you want to
I do think Leigh's gonna. I think the result's gonna surprise a few people. He's gonna outbox him and win on points.
Interesting.
Cole, do you want to just pick that comment up in the sidebar from Joe?
Yeah, so good evening, Joe. Joe says, I can't get away from the fact Conley was landing shots at will on Wood. And if Lara has the same success, it's game over for Wood.
Yeah, I can understand that. I agree with that, in fact, 100%. But I think that were more, maybe Leigh thought Conlon weren't really a puncher. Maybe he thought, I'll just... Because Conlon's a very good boxer. Maybe he thought he had to drag him into a fight.
Very skillful.
Yeah, maybe he thought I've got to drag him into a fight. And, he got clipped.
He got caught. That shot he got put down with, he didn't see coming. Because Conlon was very, very smart, and he was laying that right hand jab to the to the body, and Leigh was looking at that, looking to block that shot when the left hand came in. Yeah. So I think it was a lot of that was to do with he didn't see it coming when it landed.
Yeah, could have been.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Leigh knocks him out. But having listened to what you've just said there. I think you might be right. I think Leigh might frustrate him by doing what you've said. But then that'll give Leigh then the openings to land his big shots himself, because Leigh's a big puncher.
He is. He can punch.
I know, and everyone goes on about Lara being a monster. Yeah, he's a big puncher. But if you look at the records, they've got very similar KO percentages.
Yeah.
So, Cole, did you give a prediction?
Yeah, well, mine been round 6, Leigh Wood all the way along. So, yeah,
I'm saying the same. Leigh, what round you going for, mate?
4. I'd say 4 to 6 for Lara.
Lara 4 to 6. Sean,
I think Wood in 9.
9.
Wood in 9. Daz, you sticking with your points, mate?
Yeah, mate. I think we're going to see a very disciplined Leigh Wood. I think we've got to, because if we don't, he loses. So we're going to have to see a very disciplined Leigh Wood, and I do think it could be points or 11th, 12th round stoppage, but he's got to be on the ball. He's got to be.
He loves a 12th round stoppage, in fairness, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what's obviously. It's been quite nice. The build-up's been quite respectful. I think that might change tomorrow. I think there was obviously no fans allowed into the press conference today. It was quite muted, quite respectful. But tomorrow,
hasn't it been a bit personal? Sorry to cut you off, but I've read something where Leigh's put something about he's got a bit personal.
Lara did, yeah.
Yeah, Lara said that he faked injury.
Yeah, he said when Leigh pulled out end of last year, he said it was a fake injury. He says he wasn't injured.
Right.
He says all British, all English men are weak.
Oh God!
Come on, Leigh.
Them kind of comments, mate.
Yeah.
But like I say, today was quite respectful. I have a feeling that when there's a bit of a raucous crowd in there tomorrow, because it's open to the public the way in. I think you might see a little bit of tension. You might see a little bit of different edge from Leigh Wood tomorrow. Which I think the fight probably needs a little. Well, I say that it's going to just erupt anyway on fight night, but it would be good to see a little bit of spite, I think, coming from Leigh. Just moving down the card a little bit, there's some brilliant fights on this undercard. Chief support, Dalton Smith, who is currently the British super lightweight champion, is going in against Billy Allington, who's currently the English super lightweight champion. This is a fantastic fight, in my opinion. Dalton Smith just oozes class.
Yeah, he's quite.
He's got a fantastic gym, trained by his dad. But make no mistake about it, Billy Allington is no pushover. He's been in with some real top class lads, mainly on the small old circuit, but some real tough competitors.
He looked very confident today. I think this is a bit of his cup final scenario.
It is.
He looked very confident.
But it is about levels. I see Leigh shaking his head, so we'll come to you first, then, Leigh.
It's not a close fight. Yeah, it is. Of course, it is. It's a tick-over fight. They've already got his next fight scheduled for April. They wouldn't be having that. He's headlining the show in Sheffield, so they wouldn't have that lined up if they didn't think this was a easy win, which it will be. I don't see it as a brilliant matchup, but he needs these kind of fights, I guess. So why not?
I think you're being a little bit harsh on Billy Allington, if I'm being completely honest.
Why would they have him lined up to headline a show in 6 or 7 weeks' time?
Because they're backing the man, aren't they? They're confident.
It's because they know he's going to win.
What they're expecting to happen is they're expecting him to come through his fight. They're expecting Sam to come through his fight.
Yeah.
And then they'll get it on for the British and the Commonwealth. That's the plan for Sheffield. Sam Maxwell, to come through his fight, who's the current Commonwealth champion. So that's what they're expecting to happen. But yes, Dalton Smith, in my opinion, will come through the fight because he's real quality. But don't dismiss it, Billy Allington, as an easy touch, mate. He's not an easy touch. I think it is
for him. I'm not saying he is, but he is for Dalton Smith.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think he gives Dalton his best test, if I'm being honest.
This is
maybe.
This is where, like, Billy Allington has got to. This is his chance.
Yeah,
don't go for broke, can he? Does
this is his chance? I mean, I sort of agree with Leigh. I think that Dalton will dispatch him, but anyone who's got a good heartbeat and two fists has got a chance. He's just got to try and take it. I don't think he will. I think Dalton will brush him aside. But this is where Billy Allington's got to sort of. I always said, don't look too far in front. Don't look past this opponent. But to be fair, Billy Allington and every other guy in Billy Allington's situation has got to look and say, right, if I win this, look what's coming.
Or even even if he loses in good style, his stock will still rise, won't it?
Of course it will, yeah. Of course it will. If he puts up a good show, it will. His stock will rise, and I do think that, like Andy said, it's pointing at Sam, looking at Sam Maxwell v Dalton at some point. But I think also they're going to have to look at Adam Azim and Dalton at some point. That's going to come to play at some point.
I think you're a while off that. I don't.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, of course you are.
But one day, that's a brilliant fight, isn't it? Yeah, that's a brilliant fight. One day.
It's probably a year or two away, but I know that both teams will be thinking about. I know for a fact both teams will be looking at each other now and saying that's going to be for a world title. This.
I was about to say they'll probably avoid each other to world level, won't they?
Of course, yeah. definitely. And I know for a fact that they'll have discussed it. You know, someone out of Dalton's camp, someone out of Azim's camp will be, this is going to be.
They need to avoid each other for a little while because you've got to build that fight up. Because if that fight's built up properly, that does huge numbers, doesn't it? As a big British domestic fight, that does huge numbers if it's promoted the right way. But
imagine for a world title.
Yes, exactly. You need a bit of needle in there too, as well. Over the years, you need them to sort of be asking about them in interviews, bit of digs here and there. I mean, that could be built up in the next couple of years.
You want the Groves versus De Gale scenario that built up nicely, didn't it? And then they jumped in.
Yeah.
Sean, let me get Sean's opinion here because he's not had a chance to jump in. Firstly, how do you see the fight going? And then secondly, how quickly do you see that the fight that the lads have just been talking about?
Yeah, I think it'll be a comprehensive win for Dalton Smith this weekend. And then I think they're talking about early April, aren't they, for his next defence? So I guess it will be then against his next challenger.
Great stuff. Carl, got a new comment in the sidebar from somebody new?
Yeah, so as the unboxing, not pulling no punches, he's put Billy's crap being in there twice with Jacob Robinson, who is English level at best and got beat.
I think he means Jamie Robinson, but I'll let him off on that one. Jamie Robinson is a quality operator, by the way. I think a lot of people mistake small old shows and assume all the fighters are rubbish.
I don't sorry to interrupt you, mate, but it always tickles me when someone calls a professional fighter crap. It always tickles me because I just think. I mean, I don't know this guy, but you've got to look at what they go through, what they put themselves through. Yeah. And listen, I mean, it's going to your journeyman. Let's talk about your journeyman for a split second. You know, you guys like Kevin McCauley, William Warburton. I've seen them guys in action, and they are well capable. Seamus Devlin, well capable. No professional fighters crap. No professional fighter. You know, but it's just people are in it for different reasons.
I'll throw Carl Sampson in there as well, Daz.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, Carl Sampson, definitely. The list's endless. This kid Billy Allington has got opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah,
on a big platform. He's going to go, I've no doubt, and he's going to give it his all. So good luck to the guy.
Just to say as well, he's English champion.
Yes,
that's no small level.
He's not that bad, is he?
He's not on Dalton's level, though.
No, of course, no.
We know that.
Credit to him. He's got to go in there and give it his all, and he can't. Fair enough. Like, can't ask for more, but it's levels, isn't it? That's
it does make me smile because what's he meant to do as a fighter then? Turn down the Dalton Smith fight?
Oh no,
is he supposed?
No one's saying he should, but if you ask your opinion on what you think it's going to be, that's what I think it's going to be. But of course he's not going to turn it down.
He's probably earning the biggest purse of his career, I'd imagine.
Yeah, good luck to him.
I agree with you, Leigh. I think Dalton's going to brush him aside fairly easy, but I do think that he's going to give it his all. It's just not going to be enough.
No.
Dalton's going to go on to bigger and better titles.
Dalton's going to be DAZN's next pay-per-view star. That's something right.
I think he's going to be world champion, definitely.
Eddie is already saying this show in Nottingham's the last time he'll be on an undercard. He'll be headlining from here onwards. So that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. He sold a boatload of tickets, by the way, for this show as well. So he's definitely a ticket seller. He's definitely got Sheffield behind him. Moving on, guys, to someone else that I believe is destined for stardom, and that's Gary Coley. Gary Coley's going in against Wilfred Flores, who's 10-0 himself. But Gary Coley's he's on another level. He's currently 15-0. He's likely to be, if he comes through this fight, which I think we expect him to. he's going to be chief support on the next massive show in Ireland. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, which tells you where Matchroom see him going.
Obviously got big plans for him, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's got an aura about him, Andy. Let's be honest. He's got an aura about him.
Certain. It's difficult to explain, isn't it? But certain people, certain fighters, have an aura of I'm a superstar before they're even anywhere near it. And he's that character. He's that type of character. You know,
but not in an arrogant way. Not in an arrogant way. In a likable way. You know, when someone just carries himself in a certain way, that's what he does.
Yeah. Self-belief, isn't it?
Yeah.
They believe in what they do.
So he's fighting this fight, by the way, is for the vacant WBA Intercontinental lightweight title. So we've got another lightweight here. The lightweight division in the UK is stacked. I know he's Irish, by the way, but the lightweight division in Britain, let's say, then, is stacked. There's going to be some fantastic fights down the line. And these fights will have to get made at some point because we've got a lot of talent in around that weight and the super lightweight division. It's incredible. Leigh, what's your impressions of Gary Coley? Where do you see him going?
Yeah, I think he could win a world title as well. To be honest with you, he looks quality. Seems to have gone under the radar a lot of his career, and just seems to be the last year or two, I'd say, he's starting to get a bit of momentum behind him. Obviously, Eddie's picked him up now, tapped into obviously the Irish fan base, which they travel so well, don't they? And if you tap into that, you know he's very, very, very marketable. So they've got that avenue as well. But yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of him on good undercards, making his way up the bill. But yeah, I think future world champion.
He might be one of those that creep up, silently, and then they put him in the mix with all these lightweights, and he comes out as the top man.
He's a big unit though for that weight.
Yeah, he is very
skilled, very, very skillful as well. Sean, let's have your take on Gary Coley before we move on.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with him with what I've seen so far, and I think I've read, I don't know how true it is, but they're trying to line up Maxie Hughes, aren't they, for the Katie Taylor undercard? I don't know if that will come off, but I think that's a good fight for him, and I think he probably beats him.
I think, yeah, it's been touted, but I've heard Maxie Hughes has got irons in the fire elsewhere for a massive payday, and let's have it right. Maxie's had a really good career. He's blossoming now, and he deserves that really, really big payday. I don't know whether he'd get as big a payday on that card that he would elsewhere.
Yeah. Official sources will say. Official sources.
Are we? I don't think we're in a position to name who that might be, though, Carl. Are we?
No. Let's just stick to an official source.
What the massive fight?
Yeah.
I've am I allowed to say who I've heard it might be again?
Say what you want, mate.
Your opinion, Daz.
No, this is from a few weeks ago, to be fair. I heard that they were looking at Tank.
That's not what I'm happy to say. That's not what I was told.
I mean, I just said they were looking at Tank Davis, which, you know, I like Maxie. He's an honest pro and a very nice lad. And I'd like to think if he did fight Tank, he'd get very, very, very well paid for that.
Of course he would. And the same for the fighter we've heard as well. But like I say, because we've heard it from a certain source, we don't want to be revealing it because he told us in confidence.
So I'm just going to put this comment up in the side under. So Joe says, I think both Coley and Smith have a long way to go to say they will be world champs. It's too early for that talk. And as he says, Maxie deserves a bigger fight, but Coley is the biggest fight Matchroom can offer.
Is the biggest fight Matchroom can offer on these shores.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it's too early either to be saying that Dalton and Coley could be world champions. I don't think it is. I mean, they just top draw. They're just class. It's, you know, probably you can't never say 100% that someone's going to be a world champion, but it's just like, you know, you watch. I remember watching Calzaghe early on be world champion. Him,
yeah.
I remember watching Miguel Cotto in Olympics, and I said he'll be a world champion. Him as a pro. You just get that feeling, don't you? You just watch fighters and you think, do you know what? You've got something.
Yeah, and Andy said that about Audley Harrison.
Yeah, of course I did.
Listen, all the physical tools he had, the right unit, but you know, I don't think he's doing too bad now. To be fair,
No.
Life. So
yeah, it just wasn't suited to the pro game, mate.
No, and you can flip it round. When I watched Cotto, he fought as an amateur like a pro.
Yeah.
You know, he had that style about him, and I just think you watch fighters, don't you? I mean, all you guys will say the same thing. There's probably fighters who you've watched who you thought, yeah, be world champion him, and they have been world champion. There's also fighters who you've watched thought be world champion, and they probably not even won a British title. I mean, I thought Scotty Cardle would have been at least fought for a world title. I think he was a British champion. He didn't quite make that transition, and he was class. He was. It happens, doesn't it? You know, we're not fortune tellers, are we?
No.
Another really big name on the card, then, guys. Someone I know Cole likes a lot and rates a lot. Kieran Conway. He's going in against George Silva. Excuse me. As you all know, Kieran Conway last out fought at middleweight against Amo Williams, put in a really good performance. Amo Williams is going to go into massive things, as we all know. So no slight on Conway that he didn't come through that fight. He's now moved up to super middleweight for this fight. We had a chat with him, didn't we, Carl? Really nice kid, and wants to kind of reset his career. I'll come to you first, Sean. Do you think Conway can rebuild from that loss against Amo Williams?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's certainly got all the capability to, and I guess someone like him is needs a bit of a push, really, because he's been put in the deep end a couple of times.
Yeah.
And now I think he deserves the chance to be built up and see how far he can go.
Daz?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's no disgrace losing to Amo Williams. Like I say, sometimes you just have to go back to the drawing board and work on what you think you did wrong, what you think you shouldn't have done. It's just, you've just got to be prepared to go back to the drawing board. I mean, a lot of people emphasise on that don't they, at the minute?
Yeah.
Having that undefeated record. I mean, a good trainer once said to me, records are for DJs. It's, end of the day, it's experience. And if it's an experience he learns from, he'll come back a better fighter.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, there's this aura about, especially with these larger shows, larger promoters, they do protect that O for certain fighters because they think it builds the brand a bit better, don't they? When I don't believe that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go back to Warrington and Lara. I think that was maybe the plan there as well.
Yeah,
protect Josh Warrington, putting him in because they I mean, he was quite a big underdog, weren't he, Lara?
Yeah.
So maybe they looked and thought, he's an easy fight for Josh. I mean, I think Josh was saying himself he wanted an early stoppage, and it obviously didn't work out. But yeah, I think there's a lot of emphasis on protecting that O. And sometimes it just don't work out like that.
Cole, we had a chat with Kieran Conway. What's your impressions of the fella?
Yeah, Kieran Conway's done it the hard way. I think he's earned his stripes from Matchroom now to get a bit of a promotional push and maybe let's get the odds stacked in his favour a little bit and give him, like I said, a push. He's in super middleweight. He made it clear he don't intend on staying at super middleweight. He's going to go down to middleweight. So, yeah, I think he's got levels to him, Conway. I think he's a very good fighter. So he's talking about wanting to fill out Northampton Town. So I just think he's got the ability. Just the stars haven't aligned through, if that makes sense. Absolutely.
Commenting the sidebar, boxing historian. I'm here for the weekly Cole versus Andy rematch verbals. Evening, everyone. Buzzing for Saturday. My prediction is Wood wins by KO round 7. Wood has showed he can recover under pressure. Good evening, boxing historian, by the way. Good time to move on to the next fight. Junaid Bostain, who currently fights out of the Dalton Smith gym. He's currently 4-0, super welterweight, going in against a guy called Peter Kramer. I don't know a hell of a lot about Junaid. Is this someone you've come across, Daz?
Do you know what? I mean, I know Grant, and I've not really come across Junaid. Really, I've come across him at shows.
Yeah.
You know, at the GBM shows, and do you know what? One at politest lads you'll ever meet. And that's just not to me. I've seen how he is with people. Just keeps himself to himself. He's a nice guy. Seems very grounded for a young lad as well. Seems very mature. And he's another one. He's one to definitely keep an eye on. I mean, he's a bit of a puncher as well. So I've been told. I know his record does suggest that, but these early.
Does Eddie Earn? Sorry to cut in, Daz. Eddie Earn said he's the biggest prospect he's got at Matchroom at the minute. So that's some accolade, isn't it?
It's a bold statement that, but it doesn't seem like it's weighing on his shoulders. He seems a very grounded lad. When I've seen him at shows backstage, he acknowledges everyone. He speaks. I wish. Do you know what? I'd be interested to see how his career pans out because he does look a bit of a special talent.
Well, this Kramer he's in with, he's been in with Josh Keller, Flatler, and Dickinson. So he's been in with some good company. So we might get a look at where he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a point where I'm sure Grant's thinking Junaid can do a better job than they've all done, which as a trainer, it is sometimes what you think. You probably look at an opponent that's been in with everybody else around, at your weight, and you think, I think my guy or woman could do a better job.
Grant Smith's starting to get a bit of acknowledgement now, isn't there?
Yeah, so we should, mate. So we should.
Yeah.
Very good trainer. Very, very good trainer. And again, nice guy. Really nice guy. I mean, short story. My brother had a barber's in Worksop, and he met Grant through a mutual friend. And when he had Charlie Edwards, and he actually brought Charlie Edwards' WBC title belt down to my brother's barbershop so we could have a photo with it.
Quality.
Yeah, nice guy. One of the good guys, to be fair.
Seems like a nice fella.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
Okay, moving swiftly on. Sam Maxwell defends his Commonwealth title against Sean Cooper. Maxwell sat at 16-1. Sean sat at 13-4. Sean Cooper has been in with a fair few names as well on his journey. Ryan Charlton, Sam Noakes, Mark Chamberlain, to name a few. I mean, like we've already said about Dalton Smith, I think this is a fight that Eddie Earn's probably given Sam to then look good to make that fight against Dalton, I'd say, without being disrespectful to Sean. The fights, it's quite clear that's where they're headed. Leigh, what's your impressions of Sam Maxwell? What sort of level do you think he's actually at?
I like Sam, but I was a bit shocked last time out when he lost. I wasn't expecting that. I don't think many people were, so I was a bit disappointed in that. But I think he can bounce back from that. He's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. But again, if you're talking about him getting in with Dalton Smith, I don't see him being on the same level personally. But yeah, he is a good fighter, and I expect him to come through Saturday night. Obviously, I don't know much about his opponent, to be honest. But I think after the loss, I think they'll be putting him in with someone that's a bit of an easier touch.
Sean, same question to you.
Yeah, I agree. Like you've all said, it's just all to set up the Dalton Smith fight, isn't it? So I expect he'll come through fairly easily.
Yeah, I think most of us are in agreement with that. Young talent on the card. Local lad, Nottinghamshire from Mansfield, Nico Leighs. Again, from the Grant Smith camp. Doing really good stuff. He often gets on these Nottingham cards under Leigh for obvious reasons, being a local lad. Currently 3-0, and he's going in against Alberto Motos. I think you pronounce it. Who's currently 2-0 from Spain. Nico looks again to be one of these fighters that's got lots and lots of ability. I guess we'll see. He's definitely flying under the radar. He's not somebody that Matchroom's pushing to any great extent. But then again, he is only 3-0. Carl, what's your opinions of Nico and where he's going to go?
Yeah, I thought obviously interviewed him yesterday. I thought he was a pleasant kid, spoke very well. So I see, as he says, that Nico's no longer on the bill after coming down with an illness. So maybe he won't be fighting on Saturday after all. I've not heard that one, I'll be honest.
Nicholas fit.
Let's chuck Nick in. I wasn't aware of that either. So thank you for that comment in the sidebar. If that's the case, we'll move swiftly on. If that is the case, we'll move swiftly on. Chef Clark, who is an absolute unit, by the way. You don't realise sometimes the size of people until you're in the same room as them. He's an absolute unit. He should have been fighting Dex Spellman, which would have been a real test. I know a lot of people don't think it would have been, but Dex Spellman is a very experienced fighter. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case as Dex had to retire. So firstly, before we go on to Chev, a little shout out for Dex Spellman and his career, Carl. This would have been at cruiserweight. Dex spent the majority of his career at light heavyweight. Won the English title at light heavyweight. Went in with every man and his dog. Wasn't scared to go in with anybody. Went in with some real top talent. So all the best, Deck. I know you're itching to get into coaching as well, mate. So I'll be very interested to see your journey going forward, pal. I know you're probably very disappointed right now, but thoughts with you from Last Bell Boxing anyway.
Yeah, proper boxing man into Dex Spellman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never jumped anywhere.
So moving on, Chef Clark now is now facing Israel Duffus, who, by the way, has also got a very good record. 20-8 with 17 KOs. So the lad can punch. Looks quite a big unit himself. Not as muscular as Chev, but still a big guy. Interesting, really, because I think they were hoping the Dex Spellman fight was going to propel Chev to that next level. And I don't know whether this opponent being somebody that not a lot of people will know that much of, I don't think he's going to do that now. And maybe they'll put Chev lower down the card because of it. Carl, how far is he away from, I don't know, say an English title?
Oh, it's a difficult question, isn't it? Because
he's had such a good amateur career, hasn't he?
But I know he's 4 wins, 4 knockouts, but I've gone on record saying when I watched him in Nottingham last time, I wasn't overly that impressed.
Right.
But I guess he's still learning regarding the pro game because there is a difference, isn't there? There is a difference. So I would suggest it's still a way off. He still needs more learning fights before going for the English, in my opinion. Just what I've witnessed, I think he's still very raw, and that surprises me for the amateur career that he had. I just think it's still a way off.
Leigh, I know you're quite a big fan of Chev, aren't you? And
I like Chev, yeah.
You thought that he'd dispatch Deck, didn't you, quite easily?
Yeah, but the thing is, he's got to start doing something, because I know he's only really just starting his pro career, but he is 32, so he's got to move a bit quicker than some. There's some good. That's getting a very good division at British level, with the likes of like Vidal Riley and stuff like that. There's some good fights out there for him, but he needs to start moving quickly. It's a shame for him that obviously Dex Bowen would have been a good name on his record.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're going to have to start looking at maybe getting him some better opponents quick.
So, I mean, do you see, firstly though, Leigh, do you see him going down the traditional route? English, British, Commonwealth, European, or do you think because of his age they're going to take him the intercontinental route and get him rankings in the governing bodies?
I don't know. It depends. Because the better fights for him are probably at British level at the moment with the British cruiserweights we've got. So I'd find it I'd see it unlikely that they'd skip that to move to intercontinental and stuff like that. I think they would like to fight the likes of Riley and fighters like that, because they're big. They're doing massive numbers on the undercard, wouldn't it? So I don't know what level he's going to fight at yet. I think it remains to be seen. Like I said, he is getting on for a boxer. 32, starting your career is not. You've got to move a bit quicker, haven't you? So I don't know. I don't know what route they're going to go down, but I don't think they're skim over the British level.
Daz, he is only 4-0 as a pro. I know amateur pedigree goes a long way, but he's still got to learn the trade of a pro fighter.
Yeah,
I mean, if you was his manager or his trainer, what would you do with him? Would you take him now British level and put him in against English champion who's currently Luke Watkins?
I'd steer him, like Leigh said. I think the better fights for him at British level. Totally agree with that. And from a trainer's point of view as well, you put him in, these sort of fights that he's got at British level, and you're going to learn something about him. He's either going to rise to it and pass the test, or he's not. And I think Chev's got aspirations, obviously, to be, European world champ. So it is a totally different game. I mean, amateurs to pros is just little things are different. Everything's different, to be fair. But it's one of them, isn't it? I think I agree with Leigh. I think he's got to start being matched, a bit harder now. And I feel for him that obviously this fight's fell through, because as much as I like Deck, he'd have probably looked good against Deck. So,
Deck would have asked some questions, though, Daz, wouldn't it?
Oh, without a doubt, mate. Yeah, without a doubt. That's what I mean. It's no disrespect to Deck at all. Deck would have been, he would have put him under pressure, asked him questions. And it's a fight that, like Leigh said, the British fight, I've just said, we'd have learned something about Chev in that fight.
Yeah.
We'd have seen something, whether good or bad. But yeah, I think he'll do all right, Chev. I really do. I think he'll do all right. I think he'll, pass it. Listen, I'm not going to say he'll be a world champion or anything like that. But let's just see how he progresses. Let's just see how he goes.
Sean, same question to you, mate. Before we move on to one last thing before we close the show off.
Yeah, I really rate Chev, but I've been thinking about a fight that they could put him in with, another cruiserweight they've got, and that's Jordan Thompson. I think both are at a similar stage, and I think it's either sink or swim for them both at this stage of their career because they're both not the youngest. So I guess from them they can decide which one they want to push the most, I guess.
Yeah, good point, mate. I think it's only fitting that we go back to where we started at the start of this card, back to the Leigh Mauricio Lara situation.
What, to give Leigh a chance to change his mind and start talking sense? Is that why we're going back to it?
So I was just about to say 3 of the 4 of us have gone for a Leigh win. If that's the case, it's looking nailed on that Leigh Wood's going to be fighting Josh Warrington probably at the City Ground in the summer, which is mind-blowing. The sort of
I think that happens anyway.
I was just about to say, yeah, you've kind of stole my thunder a little bit there, Daz, but I'll let you off.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
He's only nicking it from my question to Eddie yesterday anyway, Daz, so don't apologise.
I even watched your interviews with Eddie.
Not up yet, that's why. And what about Andy? Andy's nicked this question from the one that I asked Ern yesterday.
All right, easy, Tiger.
No, I'm just saying that Daz don't need to apologise, does it?
Wow. You get a bit tired, are you, Carl? Bit too much work in the last couple of days, mate.
Yeah, let's just get on with it, eh?
Have you interviewed Eddie Hearn then, Carl? Because I
might have done, yeah.
Might have only mentioned it once or twice, Leigh.
All I would say, Leigh, is it's slightly better than you interviewing, what's his name? Salt Pepper. What's his name?
Salt Pepper.
Yeah. Don't come for me, Leigh. Don't come for me.
I wasn't shouting about that, to be fair.
So back to the question in hand before I was so rudely interrupted by Carl. The question was going to be: does it matter if Leigh loses? Does that fight with Warrington still happen, or does Warrington chase Lara? I'll go with you, Daz, on that.
Me, I don't think Warrington wants to go anywhere near Lara. Personally, I think he'll steer down another route. I think sometimes you just have that fighter that's horrible for you. I do think it happens. Wood and Warrington happens either way. If Leigh wins, it happens. If Leigh loses, it happens. Maybe for as daft as it sounds, maybe as an eliminator for something, another title. You know, who knows? But I do think that. Anyway,
sorry, Daz. I'll just put a comment up on the side. Boxing Historian, it's going live at 9 p.m. tonight. That's the reason why it's going out at 9 o'clock on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it happens anyway.
Yeah.
Sean, same question to you. Same question to you, mate. Does it happen regardless?
Yeah, I believe so. I think either way, because it's the biggest fight for Leigh Wood, you would have to say. Same for Warrington, regardless of the result.
It's the biggest payday for both of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the only thing what determines a factor in it is where it's held. I think if Leigh wins, it's at City Ground. If Leigh beats Lara, it'll probably be at City Ground. If he doesn't, then it's who puts the best offer in, isn't it? Ellen Road.
Ellen Road.
I think he's nailed on City Ground. I really do.
What if even if Leigh loses?
Yeah, I see where Daz is coming from there, though.
Yeah.
Carl,
If Leigh wins, it's definite.
At the minute, Leigh Wood's in the driving seat, being the champion.
Yeah,
I just think Leigh's already sold the idea of let's have an away day to his fans anyway. I know he was talking about America, but I still think that let's coming down the M1 to Nottingham. So I think it's a City Ground fight no matter what.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be. But I think if he wins, it's nailed on City Ground. Yeah, nailed on.
I mean, absolutely. It's probably the worst kept secret that's what. I think Eddie Hearn would want that fight next. He's obviously hoping the right result happens Saturday night. along with the rest of us. So fingers crossed Leigh Wood does the job, and then we get this gigantic fight in the summer. Carl, anything else to add before we close the show?
No, we might go live after the Woods. Depending on what time we get back, we might well do a live Saturday night. It's a possibility to keep an eye on the channel. If it's not Saturday night, it'll be Sunday afternoon.
If it is Saturday night, though, it's going to be quite late because obviously we're at the show ourselves.
Yeah.
So depending on what time we get back and how much celebrating we do afterwards, will depend on whether we go live. But anyone that's subscribed to us and is at that notification bell will get a notification. Yeah. It might be early hours in the morning, but you'll get a notification to say we're going live. The Saturday night shows are quite good because we get a lot of interaction from the States, which is always good. But again, like Cole said, if it doesn't happen Saturday night, it'll happen Sunday afternoon. We need to do a review of it, don't we, regardless? Well, guys, I think it's about time. Just over the hour mark. Fantastic show again. Thanks for all the comments in the sidebar. Leigh, Sean, thanks for joining as always. Special thanks to you, Daz, for joining us on this one.
Thank you for having me on, mate. Appreciate it.
Well, you're more than welcome anytime, mate. It's always good to get an educated opinion on boxing rather than us louts.
Nah, mate. Listen, you've all got educated opinions. You've all got educated opinions. You'll know what you're on about. Yeah.
Well, you don't talk for me anyway, Dad. So don't include me in that. You don't talk for me. I assume you don't talk for Leigh or Sean either, to be honest.
No, it's been a pleasure, mate. Been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, guys. As always,
cheers, guys.
We do this show every single week on a Thursday, 7:00. We may be going live Saturday, if not Sunday. Please come and join us.
Come on, Leigh Wood.
Points.